Good evening or afternoon or whatever time zone you are in right now, everyone. This is another episode of the SLTD Going Over Big Time podcast. Mike, Charlotte, and I, the Cantastic, are once again joining you here. We are going to do something a little different today. Usually you just see either Mike or myself just talking about the latest pay-per-view or just reviewing a very contentious or interesting topic in the world of professional wrestling. Today, we are very pleased because we have our first interview with uh, a actual wrestler, actually. So this is very new for the two of us. And we're very honored that Orion could join us from uh, his his own home as we are speaking with him. Orion is an independent wrestler. You may have known him formerly. Well, he did go by Blanco Loco, but he goes by Orion right now. And we are actually here to talk not only just about his journey in the world of professional wrestling, but the documentary he is featured on called Wrestlers. It will be streaming on Netflix on September, I want to say
Or,
13th. Yeah,
yes.
September 13th. It will be on Netflix. It is a very interesting documentary from what I've heard. If you've seen the trailer, I would like to play it here, but I don't want to violate any copyright infringement laws. But
Oh no.
but from what I saw, it was really in-depth dive into just your typical independent wrestling promotion, trying to make ends meet, just diving into the lives of the various performers that are involved. But yeah, let's get right to it. Orion, how are you today? Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Not doing too bad. It's been a pretty good day here in Orlando after the storm, so nothing too crazy.
Yeah, Mike, did
Yep.
you yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just I'm thankful that he's here and willing to spend some time with us and talk about everything going on with him and the documentary.
Cool. All right. Let's just get right into it. Orion, why don't you just, how did you get into wrestling? I think this must be like a very common question. A lot of people ask you, like, if they just wanted to try to get in, just understand how did you decide to do this for your as the thing that you want to do for your life, like what drew you into professional wrestling?
So that's actually one of my favorite stories to tell. So I grew up in a very wrestling oriented family. And my uncle actually used to be a security guard for WWF or WCW whenever they came to Syracuse, New York. So he would bring me to the shows and everything like that. I got to meet the wrestlers, and just fell in love with it. Honestly, like and just at that age, I remember being able to meet some of the stars that are still active today and stuff like that. And it's just kind of like I don't know. It's just something like I said. They were just larger than life superstars, and it was just like if you could do one thing in the world that's gonna make you happy, what would that be? I'm just like I gotta be a wrestler. Like look at these guys, like, and I got to see him every few months. You know what I'm saying, like continuously. So it just kind of built and built and built, and in my family where we grew up, because I grew up with my grandparents, my uncle. Um, we had in the living room we had WWE Raw, and then downstairs was Nitro, and it was literally a constant me running up to the living room and then running down into the lower living room and just kind of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. My grandmother would always tape. I'm dating myself. Wow. VHS is so far away. Wow. Holy crap. um, but yeah, so she would always tape every Raw, every SmackDown, every Thursday Night Thunder, Saturday Night Slam, stuff like that. ECW, and it was just it was never really not an option for me. I mean, as I got older, I kind of veered away from it a little bit, because when you're a teenager, you're like, oh, wrestling's not cool anymore, and you're like, your friends are all like, yeah, it's stupid, it's fake, and you're kind of like, yeah, I guess,
Mhm.
we all have those friends. We want to go do other things and party and think we're immortal rock stars. And then it just came like John Cena, and this is one of the craziest things that John Cena came to Carousel Mall to do a signing. And there was a school that was handing out flyers for professional wrestling schools. And it was called Squared Circle Wrestling up in Syracuse. So I was like, oh, this is my shot. Like, I was 16. I went and I got it. I literally got a job probably like 2 days later because my parents were like, we're not paying for that. I don't think so. And so I went and got a job. I started work. My first job ever was working at Burger King. And that's how I paid for wrestling. And that's pretty much how it all started. Was just kind of like I had a love for it. I lost it for a little bit, and then I mean, hate to sound cliche with the whole John Cena thing, but like John Cena kind of brought that love for it back, I guess.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people have that thing. Like John Cena is he's, I mean, now more than ever one of the biggest stars in the world, and at that time when he was coming up, he was even then one of the biggest stars, and just he was, obviously he split the crowd a lot, but he was also loved by so many, and that's really cool that I wasn't too much into WCW, so that's really cool that you watch both and try to watch both. And um so I was wondering kind of about the documentary. So what was it like filming this documentary, and just like how did you enjoy filming the documentary, or what were some things that you didn't like about filming the documentary?
So when it wasn't so much like we were actually filming it as we were being, I guess, watched more than anything, because the director is a producer, I'm sorry, is the same guy that did Cheer and did Last Chance U.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very adamant. He's like, listen, he's like, the way I want things is I want them pure, because I don't want, you know, over the top, trying to create something. He's like, let it just happen. You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, there were cameras everywhere at all times, and it was just like, at first it was kind of like, what do I get out of the way of the camera? What do I do? Like, because you're not starting, like, am I in your shot? And then it was like, after probably like the first week, it kind of was like, yeah, they're just there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just kind of got used to them at that point. I haven't seen a single, like I said, the only thing that I've seen is what everybody else has seen is is the trailer, which is amazing, by the way. It just kind of like, when I saw it, I was like, wow. I was like, holy crap. Like, this is got me excited as a fan of wrestling. Not even just because I'm in it, just because, I'm saying, like, you don't get to see many of these things, especially when it comes to professional wrestling. I don't think there was anything that I disliked about it, to be honest with you. I mean, my anxiety was kind of high when they were there, because it was just like I said, there's so many different kinds of cameras that they had. It was just kind of like, you never know if you're supposed to be in that shot, and then it's kind of like, there's never really a shot that you're not supposed to be in, and there's not a shot that you're supposed to be in. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously they have, like any other, I guess, documentary, they have like their certain sit downs and stuff like that they have, but overall it was a tremendous experience, honestly. Like, it I don't know. I just can't say anything bad about it at all, honestly. Like, there wasn't anything that I didn't like. Like I said, other than it gave me a little bit of anxiety with so many cameras. I'm just like, oh my god, like, what do I look here? Do I look there? Do I not look? What do I do?
Yeah, and it's interesting to hear from a wrestler's perspective. Like, there's like cameras around. Like, being a wrestler, there's always cameras around, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
you're on TV, but this is completely different. Like,
Yeah.
so
Because they're watching every aspect of what you're doing, and then like, that you're like, here's the thing, is like, we knew there was going to be a show. We weren't, because this was last year. Like, they followed us for the entire summer. I think it was like 4.5, 5 months almost. So like there's going to be a show, but you don't know when the show's coming out. But you also don't know what's going to be in the show. So it's one of those things of like, uh, I think like you could have said something mean to somebody that wrestling fans are going to take it a negative way, or what I'm saying. I don't know. It was just one of those high end tense moments all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like after filming was done, I was like, "Whew, thank God, thank God." Like we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can understand, like, as a performer, you're used to being like, seeing a camera here, there, or two, but this is almost like almost a 24-hour kind of thing where they're just always around, and then you're like, and the way you explain how, like, oh, do I need to like turn for this angle or whatever, but that's it's a very, I think it will bring a very interesting perspective, because like I have seen myself a lot of like things that talk about professional wrestling, that but this would be like the first kind of documentary that would dive this intense. Like, I mean, the most iconic thing I remember is like the wrestler, the movie that came out in 2008 with Mickey Rourke.
That movie, because oh my God. So funny story is that Mickey Rourke actually trained with I trained with Off the Wild Samoan. He was one of my original trainers when I first moved to Florida. And
Oh,
Pops trained Mickey Rourke to get ready for that role. And
oh,
Oh,
in one of the first scenes at the show that he's doing, it's actually a WXW show, which is off a show. So that was pretty cool. But what I can say about the wrestler is, long story short, like that's how it is. Like a lot of people think that's just a movie, and like hate to break it to you, but for a lot of stars that just kind of go back, what I'm saying, like they spent their money, what I'm saying, like I'm not gonna name names or anything like that, but they spent their money, what I'm saying, they're down and out because you'll hear, I don't know if you guys have watched Dark Side of the Ring at all.
yep.
But a lot of the guys will say is like they spent their money just bam, 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 because you always think it's gonna be there. And I think that's where this kind of this newer generations kind of thrives a little bit, is we do kind of learn from their mistakes in regards to like, hey, they went and they just partied and they, what I'm saying, they just spent their money thinking it was gonna be there forever. We kind of know a little better now, but yeah, I mean, honestly, like that movie hits every single aspect of professional wrestling, professional wrestler's life. You know, that's just yeah, that's just kind of crazy. That's
yeah,
what
yeah. I remember watching the trailer for this one, and like like you said, it talks about, they focus on like certain guys and girls. There was a dude in there. I'm not sure if I got his name correctly. I'm looking at the roster page for OVW. I think he goes by Cashflow. I think that's him. And I think there was like scenes of him with his family, and they talk about how his family was like making sacrifices themselves in order for him to be able to do what you guys are doing. And it's just like, oh my goodness, wow. I mean, there's so much like, family commitment, not just, from the whole, all of your family. And then there's just other people who are just like, they have other drivers in their life to do this kind of thing, right? I guess, I think Mike wanted to ask this question, but since I'm talking right now, obviously, OVW is currently, I guess Al Snow from WWE is currently the guy running the promotion. And for those of you who've heard the name Al Snow, he's been a veteran for probably decades in the business. I mean, for fans of a certain age, you probably just remember him swinging a mannequin head, asking that question. And I guess we want to know this. What was it like working with a veteran like Al Snow, who brings just decades of experience inside the ring, and just like, what was it like just working with a guy like that?
So I mean, I was at OVW far before.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Working with Al is, let's see, how do I say this? It's frustrating. It's because it's in the sense of like, Al will tell you how he wants something done, and you whether you understand it or not, what I'm saying, a lot of the times it's kind of like, but why? And you always want to second guess it, because it's in human nature. somebody tells you to do something, and you're always like, is there a better way I can do it? Why am I doing it this way? Shouldn't I do it my way? My way is usually better. I always think my way is better because that's how the human, the
Mhm.
mind is. We always think that we know better than the next person. And you'll think that you know better, and then Al will turn around and be like, this is why. And then you're like, oh, you're like, you hate him because he's so right all the time.
Mhm.
And then he's, and he says this a lot. He's like, like, I'm not saying that I'm right all the time. Sometimes, I could be wrong. Very rarely, very rarely. But it's one of those love-hate relationships, but you have to have those with, people like that are in charge, because if, especially in professional wrestling, if we're always saying yes, 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 and you're never questioning why, then you get stuck in this never-ending loop of just doing what you're told, and it's not going to make you happy. You know what I'm saying? It's not what you're supposed to do in wrestling. You're supposed to push back a little bit, not be disrespectful in any way, but push back a little bit, ask questions, and wonder why. Maybe throw your input in there, because sometimes Al has his vision, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? I have my vision, and we've butted heads on a few things. Something wrong, absolutely. But when it's like, maybe 30% me, 7% Al, what I'm saying, where I've thrown my ideas and stuff like that, we've created some amazing, just stories and amazing matches, in OVW that I've been very, very proud of. Absolutely. But like I said, it's a love hate. It's more love than hate with Al. It's just again, like, it's kind of like any relationship you ever have with the boss. You respect them, you admire them. You know what I'm saying? You can be friendly with them, but at the same time, you always wonder why.
Yeah, and I think we hear stories like that a lot in all wrestling promotions. Really, I mean, using WWE as an example, like, everybody talks about how they butt heads with Vince on things, and pretty much for the same reason, like you were explaining with Al Snow, like, he wants it this way, and even though you want it this way and he wants it that way, he was right all along in some aspect.
Yeah.
Like, so, and I feel like maybe Al Snow probably got that from being around in WWE for as long as he was, and had some kind of connection there. So that makes a lot of sense.
I'm sure he did. And I mean, Al's, it's not even just that Al's been in, WWE. He's been in, multiple other companies of the world. So, in that aspect, it's always good to listen. Like I said, it's always good to listen and, try to, kind of soak up that knowledge, and but like I said, on the flip side, it's always good to ask questions. Never question them, but ask questions as to why, because sometimes you do need, a better explanation,
Mm-hmm. So, sticking to the documentary, who are some people that you work with in OVW that are in the doc or maybe not in the doc that people should look out for, like, as far as like where they're going in wrestling, and like that we're gonna see more of?
Oh wow! It was
I mean, you can say yourself, but we were just wondering if there's like other people, like some of your
Well,
colleagues.
of course, I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of him, but
there's my tag team partner, Dream Girl Ellie. She's been on AEW. She's been on ROH, WWE. She travels with me all across the world, all across the US. She's a current Smash Wrestling champion up in Canada. She's done UK tours with me. She's probably one of the biggest ones to look out for. There's King of Flight, Will Austin, Tiffany Nueves, Layla Gray's in it from AEW, Luke Curtis, Mr. Spectacular, Jesse Goddard from Big Brother. I'm sure you guys. I don't know if you guys know.
We know all about him.
I've heard of him.
Spectacular. He's a cash flow. Omar Amir. He's a former. He's a veteran, Army veteran. Former OVW heavyweight champion as well. I mean, I could go on honestly, and just Doug Basham's in it. Obviously, Al Snow's in it. Haley J. There's just to be honest, there's so many, to be 100% honest with you. I probably couldn't name them off. I tried. It was like I said, it was a 4.5 month. And with the good thing about OVW, and that I think that more people should know, is that there is a constant revolving door of like new talent coming in. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not always the same talent. Like people kind of get like, oh, it gets old, it's stale, it's the same people, but it's not. Like OVW does have that revolving door, but they do it in a way to where they're keeping the same people that you know, but mixing in the new people. You know what I'm saying? It's very NXT-ish. If I had just like kind of put it, next to something like with the revolving door. But there's a lot of people. Like, so there's a lot of people, all great people. It was a great summer, to be honest with you. And then the guy that's in the front poster, that's in the, I'm saying, the front poster of the Netflix thing, Crixus. He's from Scotland. I want to say Scotland. If he's not, then I'm completely. I'm pretty sure he's from Scotland. It's a very thick, hard to understand him sometimes. Yeah.
Alan, what you got? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking a look at some of the other people on the roster. I mean, I think I actually recognize Joe Mack. I may have met him once because I think he actually was up in Toronto just last week. Yeah, I met him because he was well, the girl he was dating at the time was actually Santino Marella's daughter. So I know her too. And oh man, I hope he's not listening. But I just remember meeting him and I was looking at this guy. I was like, oh, he's got to be in wrestling too, because there's no way like anybody this size will be doing just like a standard job. And I think the other person I'm very interested in is like someone named Shalonce Royale. I think she does this thing where she's like starts singing like opera in the middle of a match, and I remember seeing that. I was like, I think that was in a couple of AEW Dark episodes. So like, I was just bawling up laughter because I was just like, this is so great.
It's so she's got such a beautiful voice. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like it's crazy. Like some of these people have like all these crazy like talents and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to think of somebody else. Darren, I can't think of something in my head right now. But Toronto, are you guys up in Toronto? Is that where you guys are from?
Mike is from New York, actually. I think he's from Long Island.
Yes.
I'm from the Toronto area.
Really? You're from Toronto?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so funny because I have a new Canadian tag team partner up there. His name is Bryce.
So
he's very new to wrestling. I think he's only but we tagged for the first time at Demand Lucha.
Demand Lucha. Yeah, I have some friends who I've gone to shows there. I wanted to make it down there myself. Yeah, I saw the card, but I can take a look back at it later. But yeah, I've heard of Demand Lucha. But the one that I like, the one indie promotion I usually go to is Destiny Wrestling. So yeah, that's the one.
I'm talking to them right now, so hopefully
I'll see you down the road at some point. Because
more stuff in Canada actually. So we just 2 weeks ago we were up there for the CNE. We were working for Classic Championship Wrestling. We did the fair shows.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yes. For those of you listening, the CNE is the Canadian National Exhibition. It's almost like a state fair, our equivalent of a state fair up here in Canada. So it's in Toronto every summer. There was actually some wrestlers from Impact too that did some appearances as well. So
yeah, dude, let me tell you something. You guys say it's a fair, but no, it's like a fair on crack. Oh, it is amazing. Like, oh god, like you guys go all out. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I ended up getting me some. I had some guy that offered it gave me like 3 free pairs of yoga pants. And they're comfy as hell, by the way. They're amazing. 3 pairs of yoga pants for me to take a picture and post it on my Instagram. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, no problem. But yeah, we started doing more stuff in Canada. We like I said, Ellie's the Smash Women's Champion up in London. We work at Demand Lucha. We've wrestled at C4 in Ottawa.
Mm.
All great shows. I can't say enough good things about Canadian wrestling, to be honest with you, just because it's some of my favorite. Like honestly, it's my favorite place to be. Not next week, the following week, the 15th. I want to say it's a Thursday, the 15th through the 18th. We're up in London again for Smash Wrestling for 3 days. So yeah, if anybody's in Canada and wants to check us out, we'll be up there.
That's awesome. That's really cool to hear. Yeah, I've never been to Canada.
You're right there. Why not?
I don't know. I've been in New York forever. Never been.
I've been doing this podcast with this guy for close to a year, and I've known him longer than that, and I've never met him in person.
Yeah. Yeah, that hasn't happened yet. It will eventually.
Have you ever been to Disney before?
Unfortunately, no.
No. Six Flags.
Maybe like once.
SeaWorld.
No.
See, this is why I left New York, because they don't have anything up there. I listen, for all the viewers, I am a huge Disney, Universal, and I'm a theme park guy. I literally live in Orlando. I live 10 minutes away from every single theme park. So those my days off, theme park. I'm a pass holder for everywhere pretty much. Those are, you got to have your happy place. But yeah, Canada is just like you're walking in a Disney World. It's kind of like a different atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? Like you get kind of scared when you're driving across the border. You're like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then you get there like, okay, you're good. I'm like, freedom.
So yeah, Orion, you mentioned that you're in the Orlando area. Of course, that's where NXT is currently located. Like I believe you mentioned that you had gone through the NXT system before. Have you? I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure.
Not the system. I've done a lot of stuff with NXT though.
Oh, okay, and
he's done like one-off appearances.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And sorry,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
So it was really cool because during like the pandemic era and stuff like that, which was not cool by any means, but like when they started actually calling people back to come do stuff and everything, I was one of the first people they hit up, and I was literally it was mind blowing because I was sitting on my couch, it was like I think 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I get a call and they're like, "Hey, can you be here in like 2 hours?" I'm like, "Oh crap." So I jumped up, showered, went there, and drove because I was living 2 hours away at the point. And I drove over here, and it got to the point where like I was doing so much with them, it just kind of made sense to move to Orlando, and I wanted to be kind of away from Tampa, anyways. But I got to be a ninja. I think it was a 4-month period with Akira Tozawa.
Okay.
So I got to have like a match on Raw with Big Show and the Viking Raiders. Yeah, that was cool. We did the cinematic match. The outdoor one where it's the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders versus. Yes, that was so much fun. It took 4 days to shoot though because of the weather.
Wow.
Raining. I got to do the Bray and Braun swap match.
Really?
Oh wow.
That's probably one of my favorite. And I know it's a touchy subject, you know what I'm saying, with him just passing, but like I just want to say like that's one of my favorite memories because we started filming, like I had to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning and we didn't finish filming till 7:30 the next morning. And literally like this is a shoot. Like Bray spent like probably like 60% of the time that we worked because we couldn't start shooting until it was nighttime. So like he spent like 60% of the day like just talking to me, giving me advice, watching some of my stuff, telling me his ideas and stuff like that, and just kind of like, hey, if you really want this, this is what you have to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just, sit here and wait for things to happen. You have to go and make them happen. But also don't be afraid to be creative in what you do. And that's just one of my favorite things is like, you know what I'm saying? Like again, somebody of that stature didn't have to say anything to me. You know what I'm saying? I was an extra, but he didn't owe me anything. But like he was just again, like beyond that, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, I knew him so well. Beyond that, I didn't know him, but that just taking that amount of time throughout the day to just kind of sit down and talk with me, you know what I'm saying? We didn't have to. That just kind of tells me what type of person he is. You know what I'm saying? And even with the crew and everything like that, he never snubbed anybody. He never made anybody feel less than or anything like that. Anytime, like, I think Vince showed up at like 3:30 in the morning to this shoot, which was at Gerald Briscoe's house, because Gerald Briscoe has a swamp in the back of his house, lake area. So like that's where we were shooting it, and Vince showed up like 3 o'clock in the morning. What's going on, guys? And we're just like, and then like he looks at me and Jamie, he's like, "Is this how you guys filmed it?" And by the way, I'm sorry if I offend anybody with my Vince McMahon impression. And we're like, he's like, he was just kind of like, what I'm saying, like, went and talked to Braun and everything like that. Came back, he's like, "All right, guys, keep it up." And just disappears in the night. I have no idea how he got there. I don't know if he showed up in a limo or a helicopter. They could have showed up in a teleporter for all I know. But even he, like, as much as the bad things I've heard about him, again, like any interaction that I've actually had with him, saying for the short period of time, I'm saying, he's never ignored me. I'm saying? If I've been in the vicinity of the area, he said hello to everybody. I'm saying? And that might not feel like a big thing to some people, but again, this guy is a billionaire who, if I go up to another billionaire, if I'm standing at, if I'm at a function, I guarantee any of the billionaire would kind of look at me and just kind of walk away from me, But again, that's just my experience. I can't speak for others' experiences. What else? The ninja thing. I've had a couple matches. I wrestled Damian Priest on NXT. I wrestled the Viking Raiders in a tag team match.
Yep.
More recently, I wrestled their first match, the Creed brothers. I wrestled their first tag team match in NXT.
Their first televised match?
Yep, on NXT.
Oh wow, that's really cool. Those guys are really good.
They are athletes, bro. Oh my god, people. They are such good people, but they are freak athletes. I swear to God. But wow.
Your last appearance, you worked with Pretty Deadly.
Yep, that was a lot of fun because we right before that, I think it was like maybe like 2 months before that, I wrestled Veer and Sangha. Yes,
Sangha. Yeah,
those are some beefy boys. Oh, but
they're very big.
I got to be a rocker for a day, so I came out to the Rockers music and did the entrance and everything. So
I was looking, and you basically had like a different name with every appearance. And did they tell you what your name is when you go?
No, they do not.
Really?
They really don't, because like I said, I've always like whenever I do a tag team match, I'm usually like I try to figure out like the cooler name, and I'm like, that's my name. And are you sure? I'm like, yeah, sure, that's my name.
Well, I have the list up. I'm looking at it right now.
The
one time that you got to be Blanco Loco was against Damian Priest.
Yep, without the mask.
So, Hanson and Rowe, you were Justin Storm,
which was actually that was my wrestling name at the time.
Okay, you were using that one.
Yes.
Okay. Against the Creed brothers, you were Dan Jarman.
I don't know. Wait, what was the other name on there? Or no?
Well, no. Justin Storm, that you were Blanco Loco once. Dan Jarman, George Cannon against Sangha and Mahan. And
I told everybody, I was Nick Cannon's 13th child.
And against Pretty Deadly, you were Slammin' Jammin' Jimmy Jackson.
At least most of them have a J in the name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's some kind of there.
So I just thought that was interesting, and I was curious, honestly, how they, if you like know your name ahead of time, or if you just find out when you go to the ring.
A funny story about the Blanco Loco one though. So the Blanco Loco one was my second time getting a match as an extra, and the producer came up to me and was like, "Hey, you're wrestling today, blah blah blah." And I was like, they show like there's like you're going by Blanco Loco. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay, good. I'm like, wait, with the mask, right? Because like by this time I had learned like they're not gonna let a mask guy wear a mask. He's like, well, the hell is Blanco Loco? So yeah, I assume, but let me check. So I don't really hear anything the rest of the day and everything like that. So we get into Gorilla, and there's like a 2 minute break, mind you. So I have my mask, right? And Sean and Triple H are there. And literally, like, the guy came up to me and I'm like, so I'm wearing the mask? And he's like, they're right there. Let me ask. So like they both come over. And again, this is a 2 minute freaking break, bro. And I'm like, so am I wearing the mask? And Triple H goes, yeah, go ahead and wear the mask. And then Sean's like, no, you got a good face for TV. Don't wear the mask. Don't wear it. Don't wear it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then Triple H was like, well, it's a cool mask. It'll make him look cool. And then Sean was like, yeah, you know what? I guess you're right. But then like Triple H, well, I kind of want to see how your faces are. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow.
I'm like, where? And this went on for literally like probably the longest 30 seconds of my life.
I can imagine.
So, like, mask on. And I'm like, so am I wearing the mask? And like they're like, hey, coming back in 30 seconds. And I'm like, and like, nah, we're just messing with you. Go out there. I'm like, oh my God. And it was like literally like my heart stopped like mid that conversation. And it was like it was probably like one of the coolest things I've ever experienced either. Because again, two guys that, you know, you kind of grew up watching, you know. I don't think wrestlers fan out enough for you know, for wrestling anymore. Like me, I'm still a fan. If I see something cool, bro, I'm going to mark out for it. I don't care. That's what made me love wrestling. Watching wrestling is what made me love wrestling. If I stop watching wrestling, you know what I'm saying, just because I'm a big bad wrestler. No, bro. Like I love wrestling. I don't, you know, wrestle. I like doing it, watching it, playing the video games, all of it, you know, like.
And in that moment, you got to see DX semi kind of argue about
like, is this real life? Is this real life right now?
just going back and forth, ping-ponging about whether you should show your face or not.
Exactly. When I did the slam and jamming Jimmy Jackson one, again, I don't think anything's really off the table at this point, but whatever. Steve Corino was the agent for the match. And I've known Corino for years from like the North Carolina because I've been friends with his son Kobe, and he's an absolute genius. So like they texted me a few days before, and they were like, "Hey, make sure you're super clean shaven, blah blah blah." There's a reason for it. So we get there, and like you're gonna be rockers, and I'm like, "Oh my God, do I get to wear the gear?" Like, because as you guys know, who's the, you know, saying there was the original rockers, Sean and Marty, but then there was also the new rockers,
Leaf Cassidy,
Marty, aka Al Snow, and then the newest rockers of Al Snow and Cal Hero. So it was just, it was really cool to just kind of be like, you know, again, kind of do something for my childhood on live TV and come out to the Rockets. Dude, when I was a kid, bro, I'd be doing the all the time.
I mean, we've heard the stories of Shawn Michaels recycling stuff from his career and just throwing it on people. So I think that's really cool.
I'm with it, man. I mean, again, I did do something even better than that, though. All right. Do you guys remember WrestleMania in Tampa, the first WrestleMania back?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the match with The Miz and who was it? Miz and Morrison versus Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, I want to say?
Yep. Yes.
Am I wrong?
That's correct.
That's correct.
That's right. So do you remember there was a very specific entrance before The Miz came out?
No, actually, not off the top of my head.
So there were probably about 30 rabbits that hopped down the WrestleMania ramp.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
I remember that.
Yes.
I was one of those rabbits.
That's really funny.
Me and Ellie were both one of those rabbits.
Wow.
let me tell you, there is nothing in my career that I can do other than actually wrestling on WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's nothing other than that. You know what I'm saying? I'll take that back. I'm sure there might be something because I want to wrestle in Japan too. So let's not say that. But that is one of the biggest and most profound things that I've done in my career so far. I got some great even hopping. I don't care. I got to hop down the WrestleMania ramp. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, for
how,
one of the biggest superstars outside of wrestling in the world.
right? Like, got to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't. I've had a lot of people that when I tell them that story, they're like, "So anybody could do that. Doesn't matter if anybody could have. They didn't. I did." Like
Yeah,
not many people, you know what I'm saying? Like, granted, there's been a lot of people that have walked down the WrestleMania ramp, but not as many as there are people in the world. So, like, I did something again. Like, I'm from New York, you know what I'm saying? Like, as a New Yorker, you know what I'm saying? Especially when you grow up, depending on where you grew up. Like, I grew up in a very poor household. Um, I grew up in Syracuse, the north side of Syracuse, and it's not a good place. You know, like you getting to the age of 15 was kind of like, good job. Holy crap, you made it. So like me doing all the things that I've done so far, like a lot of people think that like it's one of those things of like you're bragging. It's not that I'm bragging about anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's I'm hoping that somebody hears this and is like, you know what? Like if that dude can go from like I'll say it before anybody else say it, from absolutely nothing, because that's exactly what I was. I was just absolutely nothing. I was a nobody. You know what I'm saying? Still am a nobody, you know what I'm saying? But I've done pretty cool things in my life that I've never thought was ever possible. Like every kid growing up that watches wrestling, or you know what I'm saying, or watches a movie and wants to be something, you know what I'm saying? They should absolutely always believe that it's possible. You know, like sorry for the savvy message, but like it's just that I truly believe in is like, like you can achieve anything as long as you're willing to just keep on, pushing through it and keep on putting all the hard work and dedication into it. Like there's no limits to what you can do. Um, sorry, listeners for the sappy post, but that's just something I strongly believe.
No, it's totally
yeah.
fine. Like
No, that's a good message.
like I love it that you just open up your heart and just let us know what you really believe, and it's like we really need a lot of more positive messages in like just general the way society is currently, right? So really thankful
100%.
we're really thankful that you shared that. Yeah.
One more thing,
One
if
more
I can
thing?
share.
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead.
You guys heard about the movie that's coming out? It's called oh no. Why am I blanking? Oh my lord. It's about Mildred Burke. Uh
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember
Queen
the
of the
name.
Ring.
But...
The Queen, yeah, it's
Okay.
called Queen.
Yeah. Yep.
So they've already announced the cast. It's got Josh Williams. It's got oh, I cannot remember how to say his name for the life of me.
It's called Queen of the Ring.
Queen of the
Yeah.
Ring, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Walter
I have the cast in front of me here. So is it someone who's this actor playing though?
it's Walter. So Walter Goggins, Josh.
Oh, okay. Walter Goggins, he plays someone named Jack Pfeffer.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So let me tell you something. When the movie comes out, it's gonna be Emily Bett Rickards is in it. She was in the Arrowverse.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. She was Felicity on Arrow.
Yep.
Yep.
And Tyler Posey's in it from Teen Wolf. I'm looking at my tag team partner because she knows all these people. I don't know these people. I know Walter Goggins is one of my favorite actors.
well,
Josh
I see Trinity's in it, like from Impact. Yeah.
Tony Storm's in it.
There's a lot of big name actresses in it too.
Here's the thing. We were on set for what, 2 weeks? So we were on set for 2 weeks, and then our schedules wouldn't allow us to be there any longer, unfortunately. But we did scenes. So there's this one scene. I'm not going to explain the scene too much, but I'm doing my part, and then so I'm ringing the bell. So I'm just gonna I'm ringing the bell, and I'm sure they've already announced that he's on the thing. Hold on, let me see something real quick before I say anything because I don't want to get in trouble. You know what I'm going to talk about, right? Yeah. Is he on the cast list? He's not on the cast list? No? Ah. Oh, are you sure? Okay, you got 5 more seconds because this is a really good story. I got them on the edge of their seats right now. All right, so I'm not gonna say his name. I'm not gonna say his
Okay.
name.
We'll find out when we see it.
Yes, when a new cast list comes out, I guess. So anyway, so I'm getting ready. Yes, he's in. Okay, okay. So he is okay. So the cast list is out, so I can say, okay, we're good. Sorry. It's a baby picture. Holy crap! All right. So who's a fan of? Okay, so I'm sure there's listeners on here that are a fan of the Karate Kid series,
Oh, okay, yeah.
or at least Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I was just looking at the cast list. I know who you're talking about.
So since it's a movie, okay, and I'll tell you something, I was sitting down, just getting in position, ready for cameras, and all of a sudden, this man just walks next to me and just stands there, and I'm just like, and I said it out loud, by the way. It wasn't in my. I thought I said it in my head. I did not, and I looked at Sensei Kreese. And I'm like, I literally froze. I'm like, did I just freaking say that out loud?
I'm sure you're not the first.
You got a nice bell there, looking at the ring bell. And I'm like, yep. And then the director's all, first people, blah, 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 doing everything. And he's like, you know what I want to do with that bell? And I'm like, oh, God. Oh, God. And I'm starting to crack up a little bit. And he goes, out, action. And he's like, I had to take that bell home. And I'm like, oh, God, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. He goes, now I'm gonna go ring a ding ding. And I just lost my shit. I'm sorry for the language. I lost it on set. Like I just could not hold it together. And Steven comes up to me, he's the one of the coordinators, and he's like, Blanco, stop. I'm like, I can't. He's making me freaking just go nuts right now. Like, but he was one of the cool to work with. And like again, like another childhood person that you just get to hang out with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who ends up being like one of the nicest people in the freaking world. Honestly.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I watch Cobra Kai, I love it. And he comes off like he plays his character so well that you can't even like believe that he's such a nice person. But I've seen interviews, I've seen like he it's crazy like how well he plays that character.
I know, dude. It really is. I think maybe it's just the way he looks too, because like he looks mean. He looks like a grizzled vet. You know what I'm saying? So like when he was just standing there, again, he just like it was intimidating as hell. Let me tell you, he's an actor. All right. I'm not sure if he's actually been in the war by himself. He might have. I have to do my actual homework on that. But he looks like he killed a man. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah, that was a really good experience too. But they were long days. So let me tell you something. People that complain about wrestling, if wrestlers are listening to this right now, if you're complaining about like an 8-hour day of wrestling because you have to travel, get to the show, whatever, do your match, whatever. Let me tell you something. Try doing a 16 hours day on set. All right.
Oh man.
Where of it is to hurry up and wait. That was literally what we were told like multiple times. Yeah, the movie business is pretty much hurry up and wait. And I'm just like, yep, see that. And you got to wear like the whole thing's set in the 40s. So you're wearing these stiff clothes for like 60 days. It was a good experience though. It was a fun experience, but it was a lot. I see why they're on strike right now, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, it's that is a crazy story, but that's really cool that you got to do that. And yeah, Alan, you have something to ask him.
I mean, yeah. I think you also had a match in AEW Dark, right? Like, well, I'm
Eh,
not sure. Yeah, I mean, how was the experience with All Elite Wrestling?
oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. First class on the way. It's really not that different from WWE. And I hate to say it, but in the terms of like backstage and like how people are treated and everything like that, it's again, everybody shakes my hand, everybody's very respectful. I know a lot of those guys because I've either wrestled them on the indies or you know what I'm saying, like I know them from, you know, from through other people or stuff like that. Um, but I could never say a bad thing about AEW. Honestly, like one of my trainers right now works for AEW. I'm training with Malachi Black.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like,
that's really cool.
oh, he's amazing. He is again one of those things of like, you know, you thinking that you know what you're gonna learn, and then it's like something else that just sets off this huge freaking light bulb in your head. You know, and you're just like, holy crap, why did I not think of that? That man is just literally a Guinness Book of, oh, you didn't know this? Now you do. Him and Zelina both, they really are. They're fantastic. Scary as hell. Absolutely terrifying. Um, no, I'm not even joking when I say
I
that.
believe you. I mean, you just
I,
look at the guy. He looks again. He looks intimidating, but
oh,
he
in real
it's
life, he could probably kill you. That's the thing. Is like he could shoot kill somebody, and it's like it's not so much I'm afraid of that. It's just like I I've always been the person to respect those that have done more than me and try to listen and you know just respect people overall. But like he's since he started, I've always been like since he was Tommy End, I've looked at him like holy crap, man. Like I wish I could learn from this guy. And then like years later, it's kind of like, hey, you had the opportunity. It's like holy. It was the same thing when I learned from Ricky Morton when I went to Ricky when I trained with Ricky Morton. Same thing when I trained with Doug and Al, and Alpha and Matt Seidel. When I got to train with all these people, you know what I'm saying? Like it's one of those things of like you never think you're going to be able to do these things, but Malachi is just like he's a genius. Like I said, that's the best way I can put it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he doesn't screw around. You know what I'm saying? He's very he knows what he's doing and he does the way he does for a reason. So check out the Dark Arts Gym on Instagram because he's going to be opening classes soon for any professional wrestlers in the Tampa Bay, Florida, and or Orlando area. Sorry, I had to get that in there a little bit.
that's totally fine.
But no, like I said, in regards to AEW, I've never had a bad experience, and I've done a lot of, and I've been there a lot. Have I wrestled every single time? No, but it's always been a good time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't, like I said, I think my first one was during the pandemic. I was in a tag team match with some Louis guy against the Acclaimed. It's the first time I wrestled the Acclaimed.
Mhm.
And I was having so much fun just screwing around with freaking Max and Bowens backstage.
Mhm.
Um, and then I think after that, I had.
So you wrestled them twice, and then you also wrestled Silver and Reynolds,
Yep,
and singles against Preston Vance.
Cody. I've known Cody for years. I love him. You're still a douche. You're still just take my mask, Cody. Just in case. Still love you though. He is a big boy. He's thick, and it's always if you've noticed, I've always wrestled really big, thick men. I don't know why that
Mhm.
is. Like here's Caster and Bowens. Okay, big, thick boys. I listen. I'm not small, but at the same time, I'm not thick like them.
Compared
Okay,
to them.
here,
Yeah.
wrestle them again. Okay, hey, wrestle. You know, freaking the Dark Order. Okay, Johnny Hungry's a big, thick boy.
Yeah, he doesn't look it on TV because he's always in the ring with bigger people, but
Bro, he by far one of the strongest people I've ever met in my life. And then they're like, okay, we're gonna give you a break from there. How about a singles match? Oh, thank you, thank you. Here, we're gonna give you Preston Vance, one of the biggest and thickest boys. Sweet Caroline, why? I was like, it might be luck of the draw, I guess.
well, I mean, it's also pretty cool to be in there with somebody you know, right?
Yeah, like I said, I've never had a bad experience at AEW. I can't, you know, what I'm saying like after every match, Tony would, you know, hey man, you did great, thank you, thank you, thank you. Same thing with the coaches backstage and everything like that. Everybody's been amazing. Like there's never, you know, and I know there's gonna be people listening to that and be like, oh, he's just trying to be like, no, I'm not. You know, I know there's WWE loyalists and there's AEW loyalists, and it's like we're in freaking Star Wars. You know, like, oh no, it's the Imperial March. No, stop it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
I can.
the tribalism is crazy.
It is, and again, I get you like what you like. Wrestling's like ice cream. You know what I'm saying? I love peanut butter fudge. Some people would rather prefer vanilla. I don't care. You like what you like. I'm not going to tell you to like what I like. But for me, from my experience, I can't speak to others' experiences. Um, Again, I've never had a bad time. I've been fed very well. I've been paid very well at both places. They both have amazing catering, and the checks go through.
And that's most important, right?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, again, I mean, everybody backstage is amazing too. I'm not gonna, I know, I'm saying not. I
Yeah.
don't want to that, but like, you know, again, like, there's nobody's a snob. You know, what I'm saying everybody knows. Hey, we're all wrestlers. We're all doing the same job. You know, what I'm saying like everybody treats you with respect. I've never encountered somebody disrespectful before in either. I think it's, I think it's like the most disrespectful people are actually on the indies versus on the bigger TV stations. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is mind blowing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I learned that very, very late in my career that, you know, it's a lot of people have a higher opinion of themselves than they should. And then there's people that have a lower opinion of themselves that should absolutely think more of themselves. So, yeah, indie wrestling needs to do better.
That's yeah.
Yeah, so as we start to wind down here, I guess maybe the final question about you personally, it would be like what's your favorite match so far? It doesn't have to be like against someone like we've heard of. It could be just someone on the indies that you've had so far. And if you feel like sharing, what's a match that you've had that you thought that could have gone better?
All right, so my favorite match that I've ever had, um, probably, oof, that's a tough one. Probably Jason Kincaid. Um, and that's on my YouTube page. But that was such a fun match for me because that was a match where I got to actually really test myself against somebody that's actually been around the world and done so much stuff and worked pretty much everywhere in every single style and is literally just a genius in that ring. It's probably one of my favorite matchups ever. Um, if I had to say like matches that I mean, I always think my matches could go better, to be honest with you. I'm very critical of myself. I, I'm not very prone to having an ego, I guess, and I think that's maybe something I need to work on because like there's in professional wrestling, there's a certain level of ego you should have, um, just because it kind of comes with the territory. And you know, when I say ego, a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, he's blah blah." No, I don't mean ego as in I think I'm better than anybody. Ego as in I know who I am, and I'm very prideful of myself. You know what I'm saying? Prideful of the things I've done. I'm very aware, but not to an extent of like treating others badly or anything like that. I'm very bad when it comes to that. I think I judge myself too harshly sometimes. Um, I always think, like I said, no matter I could go out there and have a perfect, and I've had a pretty much perfect match, in my mind of like the time we went exactly 10 minutes. We did everything and worked everything, did this, hit all the marks. It was a great match, and then it's just like I'll go back and I'll watch it and I will nitpick the hell out of it. So like, oh, I could have thrown that punch stronger. Oh, that kick looked like crap. You know what I'm saying? Oh, like why didn't I turn at this exact moment instead of waiting? Like I'm very critical of myself. So I think every one of my matches could honestly be better. And they probably could. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, I mean, we hear a lot of stories of wrestlers being that way. So I mean, like guys like like the stories that we've heard, like Randy Savage was just playing out every single thing that would happen in his match and would be mad if one thing was wrong. Like, so we hear that a lot, I think, in like stories from other wrestlers. So um one other thing that and again, if you don't really have like a specific answer, like who's somebody, whether it's in one of the bigger companies or anywhere really, that you haven't wrestled that you really want to wrestle?
Ooh. Uh, ooh. Well, I definitely gotta say my coach. I definitely gotta say Malachi.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely him. I did wrestle him, but I want to wrestle him again. I want to Wesley.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
wrestled him back in FIP. It is actually a triple threat match, and you're gonna be kind of blown. I wrestled. It was me, Desmond Xavier, aka Wesley, and
Mm-hmm.
Donna Danhausen
Ah.
before Hausen.
Mm-hmm.
And he threw Europeans like he wanted to take your head off. Holy crap! I think my neck's still jacked up. But yeah, there's a lot of guys, honestly. Tyler Bate, uh, Dragon Lee. There's a bunch of guys in AEW. Kip Sabian. Oh, he's so underrated. I hate it so much. So good. Um, Aussie Open. Oh God. I want to wrestle Aussie Open so bad. Oh, it was so freaking bad. Those guys.
Yeah.
Um,
All the guys you named, they're amazing.
Yes, Osprey's obviously one of them too, just because it's freaking Will Osprey and he can make. Like, I'm sorry, but Osprey can make anybody look like Picasso. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just pure art.
Yep.
And bucket list. I know everybody wants me to say Kenny Omega, but obviously it's on there, but at the same time, it's also kind of thinking like, I know Kenny could kill me. I want a match with Fuego. I've known Fuego far too damn long for us not to have a match.
And he's so good too. He really is.
He is, dude. He's amazing.
Yeah.
I love him. We actually just were on a show a few months ago together, and we just shot the crap for a little bit. But
Yeah.
There's just so much talent, man. There really is. I don't
Yeah,
even know.
there's a lot of them.
It's a new, you know what I'm saying? And like it's one of those things where like it's one of those new it's a new thing that wrestlers we're getting away from wrestlers not being trained. When they're still out there, but like everybody's taking it a little bit more serious. You know what I'm saying? And I'm hoping we get to that point where it's like enough good schools will open that we start producing. Because again, I'm not going to do this forever, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the guys that are doing it now aren't going to do it forever. You know what I'm saying? We've always seen that kind of shift into a new, kind of reality of wrestling. When it comes to passing the torch to the next people. We saw it from the 80s to the 90s, and the 90s to the mid 90s, and then the mid 90s to the 2000s. And it's like every 5 to 10 years we get that shift of different wrestling and stuff like that. And I really just I'm very impressed with how good the wrestlers are nowadays. Like, and I know my opinion doesn't mean crap to most of these guys probably, but I mean, in all honesty, like if you're training consistently, if you're traveling, if you're pursuing this and you're doing everything that you can, you know what I'm saying, to be a professional wrestler, you're doing the right things. You know what I'm saying? If you're sitting at home, drinking Mountain Dew, playing video games, and then doing one show a week or one show a month or 2 shows a month, that's not how to be a professional wrestler. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer in that aspect, but like just because you brought up like who would I want to wrestle, just got me thinking about all the amazing wrestlers in the world. It's like those top guys that you see, they're not doing this with the mindset of like, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. No, and I'm not trying to be this guy either, but like they're in the gym, they eat right, They practice every single week and everything like that. Their mindset is professional wrestling, and I think to be a professional wrestler at a high level, like everybody claims they want to be, you have to have that mindset, because that's what makes these guys so good. That's what makes Cash and Wheeler, FTR, absolutely. I've gotten to wrestle Ethan Page before. He was a lot of fun. That was a great match. I enjoyed that. I wrestled the Bollywood Boys. Those guys they were fun. Damn, I do want a rematch with Serpentico. I did wrestle Serpentico. Did wrestle Serpentico a while ago. It was very, very, very. I mean, I'm not gonna date myself, but it was a while ago, and Snake Man owes me another rematch.
Maybe you can get Nyla Rose as a special guest referee.
Oh my bet. Nyla loves Ellie, so I'm gonna tell Ellie to message her like, yo, work this out. Work this out. Come on, we'll just do a mixed tags match, right? That'll work.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? It could be me and Nyla versus you and Serps.
Now, see, that makes more sense. At first, I thought like Serpentico and Nyla Rose, that team will disintegrate in like 5 minutes.
Exactly, but it's to be funny. No, because she just turn around powerbomb and the match is over.
Wait, I tag with Serps?
Yeah.
You have matching gear.
You do have matching gear. And you're both evil.
That's you.
Yeah, she's evil.
It's 2.3.
They call the dream really a nightmare.
All right. Well, we want to thank you so much for giving us the time that you have, and everybody go check out Wrestlers on Netflix. It premieres September 13th. If there's anything else you want to plug before we
like how do people find you on social media? I guess you mentioned your YouTube channel.
Yeah, under the Orion X. That's listen, guys. It's not X. It's still Twitter. Damn it. Okay, it's still Twitter.
I agree.
Twitter, it's the Orion X. Instagram is the Orion X. Facebook is the Sultan, Sky Orion. There's my Level X page on Facebook, the International Super. I've got a lot of pages, guys. I'm sorry. I'm a very social media conscious person. But you can find that all. I have a pro wrestling tees under the International Superstars. And honestly, like, be sure, like, I know the series is still a couple weeks away for the wrestlers, September 13th. But OVW is live and free on Fight TV every Thursday night, from 7 till 9 p.m. And you can catch up on all the great action that Al has there, and get to kind of see, get an idea of the guys and gals that you're gonna be able to see on the show. But yeah, that's yeah. And I'll see you guys around soon. I'm gonna be up in Canada a lot, so I'll see you in Toronto. Hopefully, I'll be up in New York in the coming month. Not when it gets to winter time, because no to snow. No.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if you can make it, to Queens, Orion, Mike may possibly be able to get out there.
I could take the ride. Yeah.
All right, and with that, we want to thank the Sultan of the Sky, Orion, for joining us for our first interview with an actual wrestler on the SLTD Going Over Big Time podcast. And from Mike and myself, we're signing off, and we're just very thankful for everyone who's listening, and have a good day.